Right, we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us for our May Tech Talk. We're excited to dive into Windows 11. Today we have Eder Casella Technologies Chief IT Officer, Eder Vicencio, with us. Eric has over 17 years of IT experience, and so he's the perfect person to walk us through this new operating system. We'll be exploring the new features, what you'll need to upgrade, and of course, a live demo. This webinar is scheduled for 30 minutes, so we'll try to stick as close to that as we can. And should you have any questions throughout, just put them in the chat and we'll make sure to answer them at the end. I think that's all the housekeeping I have. So with that, I'll turn it over to Eric.
Thanks, Rachel. So hopefully you're ready for a half an hour of me talking to you. You just get to look at this face and the screens that I'm presenting. So let's dive right in. Windows 11, what is it? If you're a Microsoft user, you're probably using Windows 10 right now. If you're using Windows 7, XP, 2000, Millennium Editions, please upgrade. Buy a new machine, it's worth your while. Windows 10 is the current, still supported for some time now, but they're moving to Windows 11. If you've actually gotten the prompt, you probably have thought, should I be clicking this? Is that okay? And I'll run down kind of the information that you might need to know here. So Windows 11 requirements. Most of these things on the list are pretty much, if you bought a computer in the last, I'd say, 8 years, you're probably going to meet almost everything here. There's a few gotchas that that you really will have to work on just a little bit if you're using an older machine and you're trying to update to Windows 11. The system firmware, it's right there in the middle of the screen. That's one that some of the older machines don't meet. And then the TPM, the Trusted Platform Module. That's another one that if you have an older machine, you might not meet that criteria to upgrade to Windows 11. However, there are ways around it. Pretty much all over the internet, if you do a quick search or you contact a member of my team, we can even help you, point you in the right direction. In order to do Windows 11, something interesting that they require now is if you're using the Windows 11 home version, you have to have a Microsoft account. In the past, they allowed you past it, and right now they're not allowing you to get past having this Microsoft account, which in some ways is maybe a little annoying, but there's some pretty cool features that you're going to run into, and I'll go over those during the demo. They also require that you have an internet connection to basically authenticate, basically say that the Windows 11 version is valid and legitimate. All right, so a few changes. Windows 11 is doing an annual feature update. And this is very similar to you Mac users with Apple, where they basically have like the different OS versions. So you'll have Mojave or things of that nature. And you basically are kind of forced to upgrade with a few caveats, okay? Update support, basically Home and Pro, you'll have 24 months to basically take the update. So let's say at the beginning of this year, you took Windows 11, you have 24 months before they're basically going to either force you or shut down your operating system, which is kind of an interesting way, or basically they'll say where it's not supported. If you have any problems whatsoever, good luck. You're on an unsupported version and they really won't do much to help you. These will come out in the second half of the calendar year. Nothing too earth-shattering there. You're probably pretty used to these Windows updates hitting your computer pretty frequently anyway, so it's probably not going to be that much different than what you're currently used to. So if your computer came with Windows 10, and let's say you accidentally click the button, you're like, oh no, I'm on Windows 11, everything looks all weird to me. You do have a way to roll back. You can reinstall Windows 10 from a flash drive, or you can you actually have 6 days to click a little button in the Windows update where it'll allow you to roll back. After that 6 days, it kind of disappears. You have no longer any options. If you if you need to just upgrade to Windows 11, you can actually do that from a flash drive as well. You don't have to go through the prompts that you are getting on your, your Windows updates. That's probably prompting you and annoying you that they keep showing up. So can you upgrade? Let's say you're using Windows 10 and your computer meets the minimum specs, but you're not seeing the prompt to upgrade to Windows 11. Okay, you have to apply all your Windows 10 patches. Sounds funny, but if you haven't taken Windows updates, you're one of those users, and you all know who you are. That's like, I'm not going to take any of these Windows updates. I'm too busy right at this second. Guess what? It's going to force you to take all those Windows updates before it'll show you that Windows 11 is even there. So the good and the bad with that: one, you're going to download a whole lot of stuff, and your computer's not going to be usable for a while. Or maybe you won't. Maybe you're not that far behind. But just know it won't let you until everything's there. And that's for the prompt in the actual Windows Update section. If you do it from a flash drive, totally different scenario. Okay. Do we recommend you update? Yes, but know that with any Windows release, there are bugs. You probably will run into one or two of these little weird annoyances, but just keep that in mind before you make the decision to upgrade. Microsoft has been really good lately about having a list of their known issues, and nothing too earth-shattering here, but really you just need to be aware of it. Now, probably the biggest caveat of all of them, let's say you work for a mid-sized accounting firm in McHenry. The software that you all use has to be compatible with Windows 11. So if you're an accounting firm, if you're a construction company in Elgin, something of that nature, you need to make sure that every single application that you're running locally on your desktop is going to be compatible. And not all of them are as of yet. So quick Google search will probably tell you what you need to do, or reaching out to your trusted IT providers tend to help as well. But I'll tell you, Office works fine, Adobe works fine. Chrome, if you're just using internet-based applications, pretty much everything that we've run into works no problem whatsoever. So if you're a home user, there's not a whole lot of reasons why you couldn't actually upgrade to Windows 11. All right, so easiest way to show you how it works, what it looks like, is to actually show you a demo. So I am going to get a demo rolling. Hold on one second, y'all. Okay, here is Windows 11. And Rachel, can you confirm that you can see my desktop here?
We can.
Perfect. All right. So I am showing a demo of Windows 11 Pro. Okay, Windows 11 Home and Enterprise and even S version might look a little different. Shouldn't look too much different. Okay. I just noticed that my time is wildly off. Ignore that. So you'll notice that the screen really doesn't look that much different than Windows 10. Okay. There's a few things that I find, I'm just very particular, find a little annoying, and we'll go through those. But overall, it's solid. I really enjoy it. And there's a few things that have kept me from having this be my daily driver, but we'll go over those. Okay, things to notice. Let's start at the far left. You notice at the very far left, now we have what's called your widgets, okay? Widgets are fully customizable, okay? And these are kind of the location where Windows wants you to go. It gives you your weather. There's a special weather alert for McHenry, apparently. And if I wanted to make this medium, if I wanted to make this large, I can actually go through and customize them. So one of those things where it's like, oh, I wouldn't even thought to look at changing the size of some of these widgets, or let's say it's not even pertinent to me. Okay, we can unpin it. remove it. If you have photos on your workstation, the photos will actually start to scroll through. Kind of cool. If you have kids or grandkids or whatever you may have on your computer, I have just a bunch of technology photos. Ask my family, they'll tell you they're super annoying because they're shared to them. But you have all these options. Or if you're wanting to add more widgets, okay, by clicking the plus button in the widget portion here, okay, we can actually add more things to our widgets. You can see that whether it's sports or already checked. If you wanted to add Microsoft To Do or traffic or gaming, entertainment, whatever you want, you can add here. And look at this, it starts to add all of this information. If you actually want to even come through here and say, manage interests, you see that button down here towards the bottom. You can actually go into your Microsoft account and you can start adding in your interests, things that you want to start to see on here. It actually makes life pretty convenient because it gives you all of that right there, okay? So here's I said there's a couple of things that maybe annoy me a little bit about Windows 11. The start button. Start button's right in the middle of the screen. It's the next button over, okay? Start button, just click on it. Notice, change just a little bit from what you're used to with Windows 10. However, once you get used to this new layout, I actually find that it's maybe a little bit better than what Windows 10 had. So it brings your pinned applications right in front, and then your recommended apps. It also you can customize these pinned applications that are here. So let's say I never used the tips. I can actually unpin that, okay? And boom, it's gone. It's away. Now, if you are looking for, let's say I always use Microsoft Paint, you can move that to the top. You see how it moves it up here? So you can actually customize to make it super quick. If you click on the All Apps button, it gives you that exact same feel that you had in your last start menu, where it's scrollable, where you can look at everything. Maybe Microsoft News, I want to actually pin to my start. So here I come back and I go back in and look, Microsoft News is right there, right at the forefront. So I know where it's at, and I can actually start to, get more efficiencies in my day. You can even drag these around. It all is up to you. This all should save. Here's something that I always tell people with Microsoft that a lot of people don't realize is this search bar. This search bar is probably one of the coolest things that Microsoft has done in a really long time, and they've done it for years. If you just start typing the application you want to use, so maybe it's Adobe, it'll start to try to figure out what you're looking for. And if you have a match, and if you have an application or you have a document, anything that's on here, you can actually start to refine it down. So if you downloaded an application like Angry IP, I'm a nerd. It's just a tool that we use all the time. It's on here. So if I start typing an A, it actually shows up really quick, okay? If you're looking for something on the web, you can actually do that search from here as well. The search functionality, if you're not using it currently with Windows 10, I suggest you kind of take a look at it, see if you like it. I actually prefer it. I can move quicker because I can just hit the Windows button, and instead of clicking on my start, I hit the Windows button and I can just start typing, and guess what? It just starts to show things that are on my computer, okay? Now, I showed you when you come in here and you click in the search, did you notice how it changed? Most of you, let's do it one more time. Click in the search, it changes. Guess what? The next button here, that's the search. Okay, so they've kind of integrated it. If you don't want to hit the actual start button, you can actually just go directly to the search and work it the exact same way. Kind of a cool little feature. Just different things, different ways to navigate. And a lot of people don't use it. It's underutilized in my mind. And I feel like If you're not using it, you probably should give it a try. Okay. Another thing, rebooting. It actually shows up over here on the lower right, the power button. If you have Windows updates, they will show up there too. Cool thing about Windows 11 that they've done is if you have Windows updates, based upon the performance of your computer, it'll try to give you an estimate of how long it's going to take. Super cool, very functional. And then the user button here, this is actually how you log off now, okay? Sign out, lock, whatever you may need to do. All right. Continuing down this line, this is a feature, it's been around in Microsoft for a while, but a lot of people don't use it, and they kind of brought it to the forefront because I think more people will use it. Let's say you use 1 or 2 monitors, okay? Maybe you use 3. You can use multiple desktops. Desktops are, how do I explain this in the best way possible? If you're multitasking and you want to have multiple things up on different desktops, you can actually do that. So maybe you have a work desktop, and maybe you have a personal desktop, and maybe you have a desktop that's for, you know, doing your bills. You can actually set these up. Okay, come in here, click new desktop. You can make as many as you'd like. Okay, I'm going to then come in here, and I am going to choose a background so I know which one I'm in. Okay. I do go over this in a little bit here. All right, so you'll notice that desktop 2 now has a different background than desktop 1 and desktop 3, okay? So let's say I open up Chrome and I'm like, oh, sweet. I'm gonna have my Chrome, my Acrobat Reader, maybe I make a text file and I'm gonna open it up here and I'm like, oh, sweet. All right, but I'm like, oh no, maybe my boss is coming. I need to look more productive. I switch back to desktop 1 and guess what? None of that stuff's up anymore, but it continues to run on desktop 2. Okay, it's kind of that cool little feature that's built in. They brought it to the forefront, and it actually makes your life a little bit more convenient. You can do so many things with different desktops. Back in the day when I was working in healthcare and I did some scripting, desktops is where I kind of did a lot of that scripting from, because the application had to run uninterrupted. Maybe you're doing a mail merge or some sort of huge macro thing in Excel. You can use the desktops to actually perform that, so that way you're not interfering with it. Okay. Next button, chat. This is actually Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is built in to Windows 11. I've already done a demo on Microsoft Teams. Just note that it's here no matter what version you're using. But as an individual, you have full access to this. Now it's kind of like, I'm going to show my age, the AOL Instant Messenger days, where you can actually have individuals that also have Windows 11 or Microsoft Teams up, and you're discussing things with them, sharing files, doing all of those things built right into this application. Super cool. Definitely check it out. Okay, File Explorer. Some people used it, some people didn't in Windows 7, basically any Windows version that you've had File Explorer. Okay, this is where you can actually go through and look at your files. So if you're looking at something on your C drive and you want to look for it, it's all right here. The one thing I did want to point out that a lot of people don't use is the quick access. Okay, in the upper left, let's say it's a specific file that you use all the time, you can actually pin it to your quick access. So desktop, let's say this demo folder, let's say I want to pin it to my quick access. Guess what? It's right here now. It just shows up. Kind of cool. You can move these. You can kind of put them different places. So you have a lot of different options here. Super cool. If you don't want to have your downloads in here anymore, don't want to have your any of these other ones, you can clean it up. You can make it yours. Cool thing about Windows 11 is just that functionality there. Microsoft Edge. If you are using Microsoft Edge currently, not really a whole lot changes. The cool thing that I've been finding about Microsoft Edge is the amount of security and functionality that Microsoft is actually adding to this Chromium. When I say Chromium, you're probably like, wait, that sounds a lot like Google Chrome. It is. It actually uses the same background as Google Chrome, but Microsoft just branded it as Edge, and they're doing a really good job. They're adding a bunch of security features into it that make it very nice. You can actually do more with it. And if you want, let's say Internet Explorer is dead. Let's just put that out there. Internet Explorer, I like to call it, is totally dead. But if you need to still have something, come in here to your settings. And then all these settings are super customizable. If you haven't gone through these settings, just want to mention that you probably should. Or talk to your favorite bearded IT person, and I can tell you what types of things that I suggest you turn on and not turn on, okay? There are quite a few things, and we need to go into our systems and preferences. And there are a couple of things here that I do want to tell you about. Turn on the efficiency mode when you're plugged in. So if you've ever run into a scenario where you're on a laptop, maybe you're doing something and you leave a web page open, it actually uses your battery on, okay? And yeah, you don't want to do that. There is a location here though, default browser, and allow sites to be reloaded in Internet Explorer mode, okay? This is if you still need Internet Explorer. You can't really put Internet Explorer right now onto a Windows 11 device, but know that feature is out there. They have some capabilities. It's almost like putting your browser into compatibility mode. It works. Next button is the Microsoft Store. A lot of people underutilize the Microsoft Store. They've redesigned it. It looks very much like if you're an Apple user, it looks like the Apple Store. Now you can see that there's so many things here that you can just download for free. I tell people, if you're worried about downloading things from the internet and it's specifically an application, this is a good spot to get it from, because you know that these have all been tested by Microsoft. For the most part, you're very well protected. It's very similar to the Windows S mode that was in the past. Good place to get things, and there's tons of content out here. If you want to even go as far as like watching movies, you can rent movies, you can do all kinds of stuff. All right, starting to get a little low on time. So I have like a million more things to show you. So we're going to go through a couple of the things that I think are probably the neatest, and you guys get to come along with me. Okay. So we need to go into our settings. All right, settings, super cool. Tons of things you can do in here, and a lot of people don't actually utilize it, okay? The display, the top one here, system display. Night light, I use this, I love it, okay? What does it do? Well, you can tell your computer to turn your monitors, kind of do a blue blocking for you at night. It is so nice. I'm one of those people, if I'm up working on stuff late, I always am, I turn this on so it doesn't mess with my sleep. It's really the reason behind it. There are a few other things in here that I'm going to show you. The privacy and security. You can actually go through here and very much customize how Microsoft, how your Windows device is actually going to respond to threats. If they do a really good job all on their own, they turn on a whole bunch of features, but you can actually get super granular with the privacy and security, okay? Worth just clicking on some of these buttons and reading what they say. Everything in here is a setting, and you can always revert it back. Let's say you've turned something on and you're just like, ooh, I don't like that, okay? But guess what? You can always turn it off right away. Personalization. We had talked a little bit about the backgrounds just a second ago. Your lock screen and your animations. You can turn on a lock screen animation. They're actually pretty cool. personalization. Let's say you just want to get another theme. You click on the theme button and you can get more themes directly from the Microsoft Store. Okay. They actually have a whole bunch that are just built in and very cool, very aesthetically pleasing. And I'm one of those people that, I like to look at something new on my desktop. So that way I'm not just looking at a black screen all the time. Okay. Your account, your info goes into here. Like I said, Windows 11 wants you to have a Microsoft account. So you don't want to lose access to that because it becomes kind of a pain and tedious to kind of regain control over it. Let's see, what are the other really cool things that I wanted to bring to everybody? I ran out of time. Windows hotkeys. Let's talk about the Windows hotkeys. I talked about hitting the Windows button. If you have a Microsoft certified like keyboard, you have a Windows key actually on your desk or on your actual keyboard itself. It's between the Control and the Alt, right? Just got a little Windows button. If you hit that, it actually brings up your start menu. If you hit the Windows and R, it brings up your run command. If you hit the Windows and L, don't do it right this second because you'll lock your screen. Windows S is a search functionality. Okay, in Windows 11, if you do Windows and W, it actually brings up your widgets. Windows H brings up your speech recognition, and Windows D, if you have a bunch of things open and you just want to get to that desktop, it'll actually give you just your desktop. The snipping tool. Snipping tool has been around for a while. They've done a couple of new things to it. If you do new, it actually gives you some options up here at the top. Like you can do rectangle, you can do like a circular, you can do the entire screen. If you want a delay, you can actually put a snipping delay on there. So I'm just going to do a quick snip here. Your tools are all up here. If you actually make it smaller, it moves it down to the bottom. It's kind of nice. If you need to write at a ruler, any of these things, it's all available to you. Some of these features are already there, but a lot of people don't use snipping tool for like screenshots. It's great, love it. They redesigned Microsoft Paint. I'll tell you, I honestly hadn't looked at Microsoft Paint since I was probably in middle school. So I opened it up and I'm like, oh, they have a lot of things in here now. They're continuing to develop it. That's what's so cool to me about it, is that there are some things in here that like I probably wouldn't have opened this up because I use a program called Snagit. Love it. Does this, but it's also like driving a monster truck to work. It does this plus a ton more. I already talked about the fact that you can personalize your lock screen. And at that, I might have to do a number two, like a second Windows 11 features, so that way I can give you all more information about it, because there are some really cool things. Let me show you all this really quick. Taskbar settings. Maybe you're like me and you're like, oh, you need to move my start menu away from the center. You do that, taskbar behaviors, center, put it on the left, right back where it was with Windows 10. It makes me happy that it's back where it should be. Okay. Windows 7, Windows 10, Windows 11. Now they're all on the left-hand side. Whew, I'm good. Okay. Now that note, if anybody has any questions, just go ahead and send them in the chat and then we'll get them answered.
Thanks, Eric. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. We did just have one question that came through. Back to when you were showing us the desktops, can you open the multiple desktops at the same time if you have other monitors plugged in?
Ooh, that's actually I haven't tried that yet. And I'm on a single monitor, otherwise I would do it right now. Whoever that was, I will get that answer to you once I'll get this onto a multi-monitor and shoot you over that answer. Perfect.
Well, that was it. If no one has any other questions, we'll go ahead and let you go since we're right at 12 o'clock. We will be back the second Wednesday of June, so June 8th, with our next Tech Talk. So be on the lookout for the registration link. Have a good rest of your day, everybody.